Hello there, it's Stacey Ashley here, and I'm super excited to be spending a few minutes with you today. I'm going to keep it short, and today is all about integrating coaching into your leadership. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because what I'm noticing when I'm out with clients and talking to people and all the great leaders that I know is that there's a lot of challenge. We've got this, well, you know, all of the things, the dynamically evolving world that we live in, the changing work environment of hybrid and remote and virtual and in-person and all of those things. We've got talent shortages. How do we gain and retain our amazing talent? And then how do we keep them engaged and on purpose and focus and all of those things? And coaching is one of the great enablers for leaders. And so I really wanted to share just a few tips today about how do you get started, or how do you get rid of some of those poor habits that have developed and really be focused and purposeful with your coaching approach and integrating coaching into your leadership so that you can gain all the benefits as the leader, and the people around you, of course, can gain tremendous benefit and opportunity because you're using a coaching approach with them. So I would love to hear from you, whether you're watching live or the recording. I'd love to hear your thoughts on, are you coaching? Would you like to be coaching? Do you even know where to start with coaching? Because I think there's still tremendous opportunity in this space. I think coaching's incredibly underutilized in organizations and in conversations and meetings and all of the spectrum of spaces that we can use coaching. And I really want to help you to get started, or just remind you of some of the things that can really be helpful so that you can bring out the best in all the people around you. And of course, you can self-coach as well. So I'm going to share with you 5 of my tips for getting started with your coaching, or getting back on track with your coaching and integrating coaching into your leadership approach. So my tip number 1 for people who are adopting and integrating a coaching approach is to use simple questions. I often see people really trying to ask highly complex, multi-part questions, and it doesn't work as well as just keeping it simple. So simple, open questions are really easy for other people to engage with and to respond to and to initiate conversations with. And what are the simplest questions? Well, they start with words like what? What is the focus of today's meeting? What are you going to accomplish this week? What do you need in order to make progress? Other words that you might use to start your simple questions are how, who, where, and which. And all of those simple question starters will get you going with you implementing your coaching approach with the people around you. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is listen. There is so much power in listening to the people around you. There's that old adage that when you speak, you repeat what you already know, but when you listen, you learn. And as a leader, it's really important to learn from the people around us, learn how they're going, learn what they know about the topic, what suggestions they have, how they might approach it, and really learn what's important to your people so that you can support them. So one of the things that I found early in my coaching journey that really helped me to embrace this concept of listening was the acronym WAIT, W-A-I-T, and just reminding myself to wait. So ask a question and wait. And WAIT, it stands for why am I talking? Because when we're using a coaching approach, we want to elicit all of the great information from the people around us. We want to engage them in the conversation. So we need to be doing more asking and waiting than speaking. So that's tip number 2, is to listen. My 3rd tip for today, when you want to really start to integrate and adopt a coaching approach as a leader, is to really be thoughtful about your questions and to ask specific questions. because general questions get you general answers and specific questions get you specific answers. So I could ask a question like, how was the meeting? Now that's a general question. And I might get an answer like, fine, good, which is a general answer, but it doesn't actually give me a lot of information. If I asked a question which was something along the lines of, what was the outcome in today's meeting, far more specific, then I'm much more likely to get a specific answer. So this decision was made, or this plan was put into place, or the conversation was about this and we decided that the best way forward is. So a specific question gets you a specific answer. And this actually helps to propel a conversation forward. So rather than us just in this muddy generalization, we're actually really specific and focused and purposeful with our conversation. So tip number 3 is to ask specific questions. Okay, let's move on to tip number 4. And this is a really important one. And I think we often get caught up in the rush of the day and all the priorities and the meetings and the things to do and the task list and that sort of thing. But when we are in conversation with people, when we're using our coaching and we're really embodying that coaching, is to have, tip number 4 is to have genuine interest. Really be purposefully curious with that person. You know, we've all been in a conversation when we were listening, we were participating in the conversation and somebody asked us a question and we start to answer them and we know they're not paying attention. Their attention is drifting. They're looking at something out the window. They're maybe listening to the conversation in the group next to them. You know, you can really feel when you lose someone's attention. And so being purposefully curious, having that real genuine interest keeps you engaged in the conversation. And how do you do that? Well, you need to ask a specific question rather than a general question. So you get that really interesting, specific answer, and that will help to keep you in the conversation and have that sort of genuine interest. If you're not interested in the answer to the question, then don't ask it. Ask a question that really is powerful and useful and valuable so that you can be engaged in the conversation and, you know, really be paying attention and genuinely interested to that other person. I think another thing that goes with that is there's a great piece of research from Eye Opener Institute in the UK, which talks about one of the most powerful things you can do to raise your people's performance and engagement is to listen to them. You know, the feeling of being listened to is very powerful. Okay, the final tip that I have for you today is, you know, when you're starting your coaching journey, when you're beginning to implement your coaching approach, I find that people sometimes they sort of tackle the most difficult situations first with their coaching approach in the hope that, you know, that will help them. And eventually it will, and it might even on the first attempt. But why take the hard road when you could take the easy road? So my tip here is to start easy. When you're starting to utilize a coaching approach, asking those open questions, doing great listening, really wanting to engage with the other person or group, is to start with someone who is going to be receptive to that approach, more open to it, more ready to actually engage in the conversation. So that's a way that you can practice your skills, build confidence, get some runs on the board before you tackle perhaps those people who might be less receptive or even resistant to a coaching approach because it's not what they're used to. So really give yourself a bit of a break and make it easy on yourself to introduce some of those coaching principles into your leadership. All right, so they're my top tips for today. So number 1 was use simple questions: what, how, when, who, which. Number 2, to listen, really actively listen, and to use the wait principle. Why am I talking? To ask specific questions so that you get specific answers. To be genuinely interested and really activate your listening again and be, you know, purposefully curious and engaged in the conversation. And number 5 is to start easy. So I would love to know your thoughts and how many of those principles you're using in your leadership and coaching approach. I also wanted to share with you that I have some great programs coming up, which are all around the coaching leader origin. So the foundation principles of coaching. Really, I wanted to really support leaders in activating their coaching and really getting those benefits of a coaching approach, both for themselves and their people. This is the first time I've offered these dates, this program and public dates for a couple of years. So I'm really keen to share this information with as many people as I can. So if you're interested, check out the information in the post or drop me a note. Really happy to have a conversation and really look forward to connecting soon. I'd love to know your thoughts on the concept of integrating coaching into your leadership approach and look forward to connecting again very soon.